Hey guys, it's Jessie, and welcome to the newest series in our Let's Paint program, Modern Paint by Number, where we take the classic paint by number and we put our own little twist on it so you end up with your own unique work of art. So this week we're going to be doing our lemons painting. So I'm going to let you know what supplies you'll need for this project. Okay, so what I have here, first I have my 12 by 12 wood canvas. I have my palette paper here, which is just wax-coated paper to mix my paint on. I've got paper towels, my water basin to clean my brushes. I'll be using our 10-piece artist variety set today. And then I also have some stencil tape or painter's tape or scotch tape, whatever you've got for taping is fine. I've got a ballpoint pen. I've got some transfer paper here, which don't worry, I'll explain that in a minute. And then I've also got our Modern Paint by Number template. So this template you can find on plaidonline.com, and this is the template to do our actual paint by number. So what you'll do is you'll print out, it's going to be 5 pages, and you cut out each square, and you tile it onto your canvas, and it shows you right here just how to tile it, so it's really easy to do. And it also comes with our color mixing reference guide. So this is where I'm going to tell you which colors go with which number in your paint by number. So to get started, I'm going to show you how you're going to transfer this pattern onto your canvas. So I've already cut one out here. So this is just the first 4 pages that I've cut out. And if you have your 12 by 12 canvas, you can line this up and it should fit perfectly on your 12 by 12 canvas. If you've got a larger canvas or a smaller canvas, you can probably just scale it on your printer to the dimensions that you need. So you can see here, it lines up perfectly. So this is where our tape comes in. You just need a few pieces of tape to tack it together so that it doesn't move around. Just need a couple pieces here and there. We just want to make sure that our template stays in place while we're transferring it. Make sure it lines up there, and I don't want to cover up any of my numbers. I'm going to put a tiny little piece in the center, I think, just to make sure that it doesn't flap open there. Okay, so now I've got it all taped together so it's not going to move around. And I'm going to just put it to the side for a second. And then I'm going to grab my transfer paper. So this is a chalky coated paper, and like I said, it's for transferring patterns. So if you've got a pattern or a sketch at home and you have done it in your notebook and you would like to transfer it onto a canvas, this is definitely the product for you. This is made by Folk Art. This is one of my favorite products to use. So one side is smooth and one side is rough, and like I said, it has a chalky texture on it. So what you do is on our product, it says this side up, so you know exactly which way to face your paper. So the rough side is down. So I'm going to place it. I've just cut it out to be the same size as my canvas, just to make it a little simpler. And you can probably see here too that you can see some of the lines that where I've used this paper before. So that's a great thing about this. It's such a good investment because it first of all comes with a ton of paper, but each sheet you can use over and over and over again until this isn't even gray anymore. So you can see there's a few lines from some of our other Modern Paint by Number projects, but I didn't want to waste this sheet because you really can use it so many times. It's a really great value. I'll move these a little bit because I'm going to just tape my transfer paper up here at the top. I'm just going to sort of tack it up because I want it to be sort of like a clipboard so I can check it as I'm transferring. So I'm just going to tape it on the top. I'll just put a few pieces. Tape's going to stick up. And now I'm going to take my template and I'm going to put it right on top of that, just right in place so they're all neatly stacked together. And I'm going to put a couple pieces of tape up there. Just the same thing. I'm just going to tack it to the top like a clipboard. Oops. And then to transfer our template, I'm going to use a ballpoint pen. And so all you need to do is you need to apply pressure on all of the lines. And what that does is it transfers the chalky coating onto your canvas. You can see where those lines are. And it's really great because you don't have to draw direct on your canvas. You don't have to worry about mirroring anything or using chalk or anything like that. It makes it just a lot easier when you're using transfer paper. So if you don't have a ballpoint pen nearby, you can just use the end of your paintbrush, because it doesn't really matter if you have the ink or not. It's really just the pressure that we need. So you can just follow all of the lines with a little bit of pressure using the end of your paintbrush, and that will also transfer them. I like to use a ballpoint pen because then I can see where the ink is, and then I know that I've transferred each line, so I know that I haven't missed any. So here, we'll start transferring now. So again, I'm just going to follow all the lines in my pattern, and you can see I can see now where the ink is, so I'll know which lines have been transferred and which lines haven't. And I love this lemon design. It's really bright and fun for summertime. I love the pink and yellow together. This is a really fun painting to do. It's a nice, simple, quick one. It's a great home decor piece too. So again, I'm applying about a medium pressure. You don't need to, press so hard that you're going to break the tip of your pen, but you don't want to press super lightly either. You want to make sure that you're applying enough pressure where it's going through to the transfer paper. Another tip too, if you're transferring like a really intense design, like with something with like a lot of details, you can use a red ballpoint pen, which is something I do often, and that way you can really see where that red ink is. It really stands out, so you can make sure that you don't miss any details. So again, I'm just going over all of my lines with a medium pressure, making sure that I don't miss any. So if you're using the end of your brush, or maybe you're using some sort of stylus or something, and you're not sure if maybe there's a line that you've gone over or not, you can't really remember, just go over it again. It's much better, it'll make your life a lot easier if you go over it twice than if you haven't gone over it at all. Because it's going to be really hard once we lift this paper up to try to line it up. It's going to be really tricky. So make sure, if you're not sure if you've traced over it, just go ahead. It's better twice than not at all. Again, I'm just following the lines as carefully as I can. All these cute lemons. Oops, flipping up a little. That's okay. I'll just hold it down with my finger. No big deal. And then you also don't want to forget to transfer all of your numbers. So it'll just make it a little easier. It'll make it feel a little more like a traditional paint by number. Of course, you could always just hang on to the sheet and keep it nearby and refer to it to see, which numbers are where, but I'm just going to go ahead and transfer it. 1, all my lemons look like they're 1s, and I've got my 3s. It looks like my background is going to be 2s. Okay, so I'm just going to double check and make sure, sort of scan my drawing and make sure I've got them all transferred, and it looks like I do. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull my template and my tracing paper off. Okay, so now I have my paint by number ready to go. So the next step of our paint by number is we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab our mixing guide. So like I said, this is our color mixing reference guide, and this is where I'm going to show you which colors we're going to use for each of the paint by numbers. So this one's pretty simple because it only has 3 colors for our underpainting, but some of the other patterns we're going to be doing for our Modern Paint by Numbers series are going to be a little more complex, so there might be more numbers for this. So this one, like I said, is a little bit simple, but some of the guides will have more numbers on them. So I'm going to keep this here, and I'm going to let you know which colors are going to be for which. So the first thing I'm going to put on my palette is a little bit of my daffodil yellow. And I'm also going to put some wicker white. So I'm going to mix those two together. I'm just going to grab a medium-sized flat brush. This is my number 12 flat. I'm going to mix them together because I'm looking for sort of a pale yellow color. I'm going to do about 1-to-1 ratio. And add a little more white because it's still a little bit bright. I'm looking for a nice, soft yellow color. Maybe a little bit more white. I usually always start when I'm mixing with just a little bit of paint, and I start with a 1-to-1 ratio. And then you can kind of go from there, adding whichever color you feel like it needs. That's a nice soft yellow, so we're going to keep that one. So this is going to be our number 1 color. So we're going to go ahead and we can just paint it in there. And that way, when you go back, if you run out of that color, you can refer to your mixing guide and you know exactly which color you need to remix. So I'm going to wipe off the excess paint and I'm going to clean my brush. All right, and then the next 2 colors are pretty simple. We're going to add some baby pink to our palette. And our number 2 color is just going to be regular baby pink. So I'm just going to paint that in there so that way I have a visual reminder of what the number 2 color is. And so sometimes some of these base colors for the paint by number portion are just going to be regular folk art colors, just straight out of the bottle, but sometimes they are colors we mix. And that's why this mixing guide is really helpful, so we can remember which colors are which number, regardless of whether we're mixing it or whether it's just straight out of the bottle. So our 3rd color is going to be Thicket, which is this beautiful dark green color. And we're just going to do that one straight out of the bottle as well. And here's just our little visual reminder of that. All right, so that was a quick one. That is it for our color mixing reference guide. And now I'm going to use my brushes, whichever brushes I feel like I need for each shape, to do my paint by number. All right, so when you're finished with your paint by number portion, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some beautiful details to your painting to make it originally yours. So it'll be a one-of-kind piece of art. So I already have on my palette Daffodil Yellow, Baby Pink, and Thicket. And so I'm going to put a little bit more Wicker White. And I'm also going to put some Navy Blue. So just to get my colors out for now so we can just go ahead and continue painting. So the first thing I'm going to mix together is I'm going to grab one of my thinner brushes. This is my number 1 liner brush. So you can see it's just sort of a little thin brush here. It's just a little tiny liner brush. And I'm going to mix just a tiny bit of Navy Blue and Thicket to get sort of like a beautiful, like extra dark green. So a little more Thicket because I want it to be pretty green. Just to get a really like nice deep dark green. All right, so we're going to use this to paint the leaves onto our stems. So you can see these are our stems here from our paint by number, and we're going to paint leaves on the end of each tip of the little stems going out, but we're also going to add some extra leaves too. So we'll kind of go through them together and add leaves where we think they need to be. So to draw our leaves, it's just going to be a classic leaf shape, but if you've ever seen a lemon branch, they're sort of long, thin leaves. So they're kind of, instead of just being like a regular leaf like that, they're sort of wider at the base, and then they get narrower at the tip. So that's kind of going to be more like this one here is going to be the shape of our leaf. So I'll start by painting one right down here to show you guys. Maybe wide at the base, just very carefully with the tip of my brush, and then narrower. I'm just going to put a little water on my brush to make it smooth, and then narrower at the tip. We'll continue doing this. I'm going to go on to this stem, wider at the base and narrower at the tip. And we'll do one here too, wider at the base, narrower at the tip. We're going to continue doing this on the ends of all of these little branches. And again, I'm just using the very tip of my #1 liner brush, and we're using thicket, and we put just a touch of navy into the thicket to make it an even deeper green. It's a nice cool green color, which looks really pretty against the warm pink. And I'm going to sneak a little leaf in there too between my lemons because there's a stem there. And continue, don't forget it's going to be narrow at the tip and then it's going to be wider at the base. Okay, so I think we've got it on all of the ends of the branches. And we are going to go in now and we're going to add a few more leaves here and there just to sort of fill in some of the negative space. So I'm going to put a leaf here. It's kind of like as if some lemon branches have fallen down off of a tree and just kind of how they would be scattered. So I'm going to do a little leaf here, wider at the base, and then it's going to taper it at the end. And again, I'm just dipping my brush in water every once in a while just to kind of help my paint flow as it's sort of drying out on my brush. And I'm going to do a couple little leaves coming off of this branch here, just sort of off of the side. And I'll do another one coming on the inside too to fill that negative space. And you can make your leaves in the exact same spots as me, or you can make them wherever you think they should be. They definitely don't have to be the exact same as mine. And that's sort of the beauty of this series, is that you can make this painting totally unique and make it your own personal work of art. It starts the same as mine and it starts the same as everybody else's. By the end of the painting, it'll be totally unique to you, and that's the best part of this program. So I'm going to do another little leaf here. And I think I'll do one to fill in this space. And then I think I'll do a couple down here too to fill in that area. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to use this same color and we're going to just fill it in, just a solid green color. I'm still using the same brush. I'm just going to fill it in so that they're all solid green. And again, we're using the same color, which is just thicket mixed with a touch of navy. Just filling in the leaves. And feel free to mix a little bit more of that color if you need to. Just use the shape of your brush to your advantage to get into the different areas of the leaf. You can press down harder at the base to get a wider line, and then pull it up towards the tip to get a narrower line to fill in that shape. Just filling in all these leaves. It's nice and relaxing. You can sort of just turn your mind off for this part. Just fill it in with the color. I'm just going to go back over and make sure that I've got nice full coverage on some of these leaves. Or I may have left a little bit of open space. Okay. If you've done that, you can go ahead and clean your brush off. Now I'm going to put a little more thicket, which is our dark green color, onto my palette because I'm running out a little bit. And I'm going to mix a little bit of thicket. I've got my same brush still, my #1 liner brush. A little bit of thicket with some daffodil yellow. We're going to make a lighter green color. And this color is going to be used for the veins of our leaves. So we're going to add a little bit of detail. Wipe off the excess. A little bit of detail to our leaves. And this is going to be the vein. So what I mean by the vein is the line that runs through the center of the leaf. So it starts at the stem and it kind of runs through to the tip of the leaf. So just like this, and a little thin line. We're going to do that on each of our leaves. Nice loose lines. I'm hardly putting any pressure on my brush. Okay, so once you've done that, you can go ahead and clean your brush off again. So once you've cleaned your brush off, we're going to mix a little bit more. We're going to pick up some navy blue. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're not mixing right now. We're just going to use some navy blue. And again, I've still got my same brush, my little detail brush here, which is the #1 liner brush. And I've got navy blue. And we are going to paint some shadows on the underside of our leaf. So for every single leaf, we're going to go either on the tip, depending on the orientation of the leaf. We're just going to make sure we go on the bottom-most part of our leaf. We're going to paint little lines along the edges. So I'll show you what I mean. So down here, we'd have our shadow sort of going here on the underside of the leaf. It's really subtle, but it makes a big difference in the final painting. And then here, again on the underside of the leaf. On this one, it'll be sort of at the tip of the leaf because, of course, the point is at the very bottommost part. And the same for this one, it's going to be on the tip. And we're just doing thin lines to create shadows to make our leaves look a little more dimensional. And keep doing that. And this one would be sort of at the base of the leaf, so we'll do a little V like that. And same for this one, because that's, of course, the bottommost part of this leaf. All right, so just really simple, really quick, a really fun way to add some more dimension to our leaves. So while we've got the navy blue on our brush, we're not going to clean it just yet. We still have our #1 liner brush with our navy blue. We're going to pick up just a little bit of thicket, so it's mostly blue with a little bit of thicket. And you can see here, we're not really connected. None of our lemons are connected to the stems. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to make some details that makes it look more connected. So at the base of each lemon, there's a little, it's almost just like a little V shape of green. So it kind of just cups the bottom of the lemon. It's like a little cone, and it connects it to the stem. So we're going to go through and we're going to paint, you can see just like that on each of them. So we're going to connect it here our little cone at the base that sort of cups the lemon. Do the same thing here for this lemon, where they look like they'd be meeting the stem. And then the same thing here for this lemon. It looks like that's all of the lemons that are meant to be connected in this painting. Oh, there's one more there. I missed one. Do a little guy there. So really simple, just a little shape that makes it look a little more realistic, like all of our lemons aren't really just floating out in space. So I'll clean my brush off. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start adding some dimension to our lemons. So to do that, I'm going to grab my number 8 flat brush, which is just a small flat brush, and I'm going to pick up some daffodil yellow and just the tiniest touch of navy blue. You can see I really dipped the corner of my brush in there, hardly any. And we're going to mix those two together and see what color we come up with. We're looking for sort of like a greenish color, but more of a dark yellow. So I'm going to put some more yellow in that because it got a little too dark. A little bit of navy goes a really long way because our yellow is so light. So what I'm really looking for is, like I said, like a dark yellow color. And I like that there. It's sort of it's really pretty. I like that. It's kind of a citron-y color, but it's pretty yellowy. So what we're going to do for this part is we're going to create our shadows on the bottom of each lemon. So it's going to be kind of similar to how we just added the shadows to our leaves. We're going to pay attention to the bottommost part of each lemon, no matter what the orientation of the lemon is. And to create our shadow, it's just going to be one line. And our line, we're going to play with pressure a little bit. We're going to start with very light pressure. So you're going to start with light pressure, and then you're going to press down and then pull back up. So we're going to do a shape just like that. You can practice a little more. Light, heavy, light, playing with your pressures. And you can see I'm holding my brush upright. I've got my flat brush here. And we're going to do that, but we're going to be following the shape of each lemon. So here, I'll show you what I mean. We'll start on this guy here. So I'm going to go from right to left. I'm going to go light pressure, heavy pressure, and then light pressure, but I'm being sure to follow the shape of that lemon. So here, light pressure, heavy pressure, light pressure. Light pressure, heavy pressure, light pressure. Light pressure, heavy pressure, light pressure. And again, we're just paying attention to the bottommost part. Light pressure, heavy pressure, light pressure. And it's a really simple, easy way to create some really fun shadows. Light, heavy, light. Light, heavy, light. And then our last lemon here, I'm going to go light, heavy, and then light. And that's just, like I said, a super easy way to create some dimension on your lemons. So then again, clean my brush off. Got a lot of paint on there, so I want to make sure I get it really clean. Move this back into view. Okay, so now we're going to keep that technique in mind because we're going to do something really similar to create highlights on our lemons. I'm going to put my brush down real quick because I need to add some more paint to my palette. I've got my my daffodil yellow is a little dirty there. I got some green in there, so I'm going to grab some fresh daffodil yellow. And I've got my white here already on my palette. So I want mostly wicker white with just a touch of the daffodil yellow because you want it to be lighter than this color here. So don't forget, our lemon color, we mixed wicker white and daffodil yellow, but you need to be lighter. So we're going to add much more white this time. So a good bit of white, and then just a touch of lemon yellow. We'll mix that together, and we're hoping for a very, very pale yellow. Okay, so it's looking a little bit like the yellow we already had. So clearly a little bit of the yellow goes a long way, so we're going to add much more white. Okay, so I like that color there. It's kind of like a buttercream color. So I'm going to wipe off the excess paint. And now we're going to do the same thing we just did for the shadow, but we're going to pay attention to the topmost part of each lemon using this light color. So light, heavy, light. And again, we're following the shape of the lemon. We're just going on the topmost part. Light, heavy, light. 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 I'm going to add a little more of that one. I ran out of paint. Light, heavy, light. Light, heavy, light. Light, heavy, light. So you can see it's sort of a subtle, super simple way to add dimension to lemons, because we had these really flat lemons and we really only added 2 strokes to each lemon, and now they look like they're round. So it's a really fun way to paint, something to keep in mind for your future paintings. All right, so now we're coming to the end. We have a couple more final details to do. So for one of our last details, I'm going to use this color I just used, this white and yellow mixture. And I'm going to put some over here, and I'm going to add a little bit of baby pink to that. What we're looking for is a pretty peachy color. So I'm going to mix those together. Oops, paint on my hand. So we're looking for a nice, pretty peachy color. I'm going to add a little more yellow and a little more pink. Yeah, that looks pretty. That's about what we're looking for. So now I'm going to wipe off the paint from my brush, and I'm actually going to clean it off, because for the next part, we're not going to be using the bristles of our brush. We're going to be using the base of our brush, or the end of our brush, as a stamp. So, of course, when you think of lemons, they're sort of textured. They have lots of bumps on them. They're definitely not smooth. They got all those little dimples on them. So we're going to paint some texture just to sort of imply that texture. So again, I'm going to use the end of my brush, and I'm going to dip it in this color we just mixed. And I'm going to add a little, towards the top of each lemon, a little patch of dimples. So here, I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to add a few dots sort of in a cluster, and you can overlap your highlights. And I want them to be super irregular in size and shape and spacing. So that just sort of implies that dimpled texture that lemons have. So I'm going to do that sort of randomly in the top area, just a little cluster of this texture on each of my lemons. Super simple, super easy way to add some more detail and texture. All right, so now we've added all of our dimple textures. And to just sort of give it a little bit more detail and make our painting look really complete, and also to help unify our painting, we are going to paint some more textures using just white. So I'm going to put some wicker white on my palette. And I'm again going to use the end of my brush. And we are going to do small patches of these really similar dots, but we're just going to kind of do them randomly around our painting, and we're going to overlap all the shapes. And what that's going to do is going to really tighten our painting and pull it together and make it look like one unified painting. So here, I'm going to do a little patch of them here to show you what I mean. Just little white dots, and you can see I'm overlapping each part of my painting. I'm not doing it on just one part of my painting. It's on the pink, it's on the lemon, and it's on the leaves. I'm going to do a few little clusters of those. And it's just a cute little detail. Sort of create some unity. Wherever you feel like there's a little bit of empty space or a little negative space, you can go ahead and add one of these little patches of white spots. You can add as many or as few as you want. You don't have to even add them at all if you don't want to, or you can just fill the whole painting up with them. It's totally up to you. Okay, so when you're finished painting your little white spots, make sure that you go ahead and you sign your painting. I always like to sign my painting with just my initial. And that is it for our lemons painting. So thank you so much for watching our Modern Paint by Number lemons. Keep an eye out on our YouTube channel because we're going to be posting a new Modern Paint by Number every Sunday afternoon. So like I said, keep an eye out for that. We'll have a new painting next week, and we hope to see you then. Bye!